All right, welcome. Thank you for joining me for part 3 of our CompCare series for improving practice profitability. This is follow-ups in finances, building revenue through consistency. So I'm going to dive right in. We are Mint Conceptions. We are business strategists dedicated to delivering tailored services that meet your unique business needs. So what sets us apart for you guys in particular is we have a heavy background in dentistry. So it's kind of our bread and butter, but we offer leadership coaching, business development strategy, and administrative support services. So diving right in, I am Ashley Boaz. I have been a hygienist for 16 years and in every possible position over the last 25 years in dentistry. So for me, the passion started when I was a child. My mom went and got braces. I thought it was the coolest thing ever, and I was sold. Going to keep going into this. I knew I wanted to do it. So as soon as I got the opportunity to work in a practice, I did. There have been a lot of opportunities extended to me over the years. So the CompCare series is one of the ways I can give back to this community that has given me so much. So for the course, we're going to understand the value of follow-ups, creating financial consistency for your practice, developing automation and systems within your practice, and creating those valued partnerships with your patients. This is for pretty much any dental professional. However, it does have some overlap for business in general because those follow-ups are going to help drive repeat customers and further revenue in the future after they've already left your business. So we're going through a few things: communication strategy, the benefits of doing all of this work, because it is work, the policies and finances that you want to have in place, staying proactive in your approach, metrics to help monitor, and then a little bit of question and answer at the very end. So for this, follow-ups and finances, you're going to build your revenue through consistency. Yes, it's great to do same-day work, and I'm a big proponent of same-day dentistry, but follow-ups are kind of the backbone for any successful dental practice, and that consistency of patient interactions that you create in those repeat touch points. So on average, it takes about 7 hours for us to build trust with patients or anyone in general. We build an initial trust after about 7 to 10 hours. It takes 50 to feel like we are close acquaintances, really, which is why you see work partners become so close so quickly. It's because we spend a lot of time together. So the more touch points you have with those patients, as long as they are positive interactions, you're going to build that trust. So it's important for them as well to receive that continued care. And you pointing out these leftover pieces of their treatment brings it to the front of their mind. A lot of times when we walk out of the practice, we've just completely forgotten what we were there for. We don't really care. Moving on with life, right? We got kids, we got mortgage to pay, we got a job to get to. So it's important for us to remind them and bring it back to the front of mind for them. It also helps drive financial growth for your practice. Clear and consistent communication helps secure payments over time. It fosters that trust with the patient. If they say yes to one thing, they're likely to say yes to another. And so it improves your overall financial health of the practice. So why are they important? Building that rapport, the consistent communication, enhancing the satisfaction and retention of patients. If they feel like you care, and they're going to be more loyal to you, they're going to want to come back. It reduces the churn and them going to another practice. So it improves the lifetime value of that patient to your practice. You improve the treatment plan acceptance, because you have to hear things about 3 times before you really believe it. So yes, you've told them they have this cavity, it needs to be taken care of. They wanted to go home and do their research. So they did. Somebody else told them, yeah, you really need to do that. Maybe their mom, their dad, their friend. And then you remind them again, hey, remember this thing we talked about? It's that gentle reminder that helps them, A, build trust with you, and B, come to believe that they actually do need this extra care beyond what you had initially planned on doing at the visit. A lot of times they leave the practice just because it wasn't what they planned on doing that day, and so they don't sign up that day. That doesn't mean they're not going to sign up later. Ideally, you want them to sign up and have built that trust and good communication while they were in the practice, but if you can catch them on the back end, that's great too. So it improves your treatment plan acceptance because they understand the value of the treatment, and it increases their likelihood of following through because they've built a trust with you, even if it's repeat touch points with phone calls. to discuss their care and what needs to be done. But it will ultimately boost your revenue when things are all said and done because they're coming back in for care. They're more likely to refer friends, family because you are front of mind. So consistency is key. Whenever we see a drop in pre-scheduled patients, it's often because that practice has let something slip on the follow-up side of things. You're presenting treatment. Every day that a patient comes in, you're presenting. But when you drop the ball with those follow-ups, they tend to just go through life and forget that you exist because it's not hurting them actively. And then they call you once things have flared up or they notice things are really dirty, right? So you creating that consistent conversation with them about what's going on, getting them back in for their recare helps build that trust, and you become a reliable resource for them. So reminding them about their appointments and treatment is super important to keep your schedule full and busy and productive. So you want to make sure your whole team is trained. Everyone on the team, from the front desk to the clinicians, should understand the importance of those consistent follow-ups. And then you want to make sure you have standard operating procedures in place. How do you want those front desk to contact your patients for follow-ups? If you're assigning it to clinical members, have they been cross-trained so they know how to speak to patients, how to communicate the urgency of that treatment? All of those pieces are really important for making sure everybody's on the same page, we're speaking the same language, our patient understands what is being asked of them and what needs to happen next. So for follow-ups, you need to make sure that you have a dedicated communication system, and that's part of your standard operating procedure, making sure you've outlined how you want those patients contacted and how to best help them. You need to evaluate your financial software. There's lots of different practice software out there that can streamline those financial arrangements. One that I am particularly fond of is Dental Intel. Over the years, they've incorporated a ton of features, but it allows for easy follow-up. It allows for financial component integrated into those text to pay. So there's a lot of options for you to have that conversation with patients, initiate payment, get them scheduled, even down to online scheduling. So be sure that you have worked out communication preferences with your patient before you're contacting them. This should be part of your intake paperwork. Understand that they're okay with texts, emails, phone calls, how they want to be communicated with. If you're not communicating with them in the way that they prefer to be communicated with, then you're going to reduce the trust they have for you. You want to create positive interactions. And if you are a nuisance calling them during work meetings, they're not going to be as readily willing to accept your phone calls or come back in. And you want to automate your reminders because we're all human. We forget things. So you want to try and automate things so that they reach out without you having to touch anything, so patients are contacted regularly. Most offices I know have some sort of automated system already in place. That's great. Just be sure to use it. That's the biggest thing, is I see a lot of practices not use their automation when you have it readily available. So you want to implement a follow-up strategy with your whole team. You've got to delegate it. You've got to assign team members to their own follow-up process, who they're responsible for, who they're contacting, and it can be divided by role in the office. So your assistants could contact follow-ups for treatment. You could have treatment coordinator follow-up for treatment. You can have your check-in, scheduling recalls or recares, and you could have your treatment coordinator calling perio patients as well as your hygienist. So you just want to make sure that you've delegated duties. If no one's assigned, then no one's responsible. So make sure that you have assigned a team member who's responsible for those patients and for sending those reminders. And they will follow up on those financial pieces as well. If you have a division in your office, which I recommend having the front not, or the back not discussing finances, you want to have a handoff. So say your clinical team gets someone on the phone, great, they're ready to schedule. We're going to hand that off to whoever's responsible for managing those finances. But you want to have that financial conversation while you've got them on the phone and you're scheduling that follow-up treatment. You want to have clear schedule patterns and checklists for how you want things to happen. So make sure your team is aware of when you want them calling. You don't want them calling if you open early. You don't want them calling at 7 a.m. Because a lot of people would be rather annoyed at getting a call that early. So maybe you call at a more reasonable hour. You can also introduce tactics that are a little more effective, like calling during lunch hours when people may be at lunch and able to answer the phone. robocallers often used this tactic for calling during dinner time, which, we all hated, but there are ways to use it to your advantage for your practice so you actually get in contact with the decision maker. So you also want to track your success. You need to use metrics like appointment conversion rates and treatment acceptance to measure how effective you were. And you can also use those to narrow down, were you more effective in office or after they left? So that's part of why I urge everyone I work with to monitor and track everything they're working on so that you can see how effective you are and the areas that you might could switch things up and maybe get some improvement on your outcomes. You want to maintain a consistency in your follow-ups. Make sure you're doing regular training with your teams. This could be quarterly, annually, but regularly enough that it's a refresher for everyone and they're not forgetting the standards that you're wanting. We are all human. We're busy, we're tired, we've got a lot going on. We tend to get complacent. When things are going and flowing, we do the minimal a lot of times. So getting that regular training in so everybody's top of mind of I need to be doing it this way helps keep that consistent patient experience going. You also want to update procedures so patient needs evolve. As they come in, you're going to see changes. You need to have follow-up protocols that adjust according to what's going on with them. And I know that we think that we do this, but there's a lot of old treatment in your treatment plans, and those need to be deleted if it's not relevant anymore and your front desk doesn't know. So they're just pulling up that chart and they're like, this patient needs to be called. They've got this root canal. Well, that tooth needed to be extracted 2 visits ago, but it wasn't deleted in the way that it needed to be, and then treatment corrected. So you want to make sure you're updating their plan as needed. That way, your automation tools work the way you need them to. If you have a software that can plug into your patient management system, kind of like the dental intel, like I was saying earlier, that pulls in patient treatment. If the treatment is wrong and it's automating those texts to patients or calls to patients, then it's going to be sending it to the wrong patients, and you're just wasting your energy and likely going to lose some of that trust because they don't feel like you're actually monitoring the care they need. So the benefits of those consistent follow-ups, it creates increased retention, cost-effective marketing. Retaining existing patients is cheaper than acquiring new ones, and they often refer patients to you because they're happy with what you've done. They're a testimony to the good service that you provide. The improved satisfaction from when they have regular communication and they feel valued, heard, understood, and that you actually do care, that improves the overall patient experience, and they will shout from the rooftops when they love your office. And then again, those new referrals, satisfied patients are more likely to refer friends and family, so that boosts your new patient numbers organically without having to pay a whole lot for it. So strategies for effective follow-ups, you've got your automated reminders. Those reduce the human error, but like I said, you have to make sure their chart is correct. Otherwise, it can create some issues, and then we look like we didn't know what we were doing. And that's the last thing we want for our patients to see about our practice. We make sure everything's on the up and up on their chart. You want to take time to make personalized communication. You can have scripts that you have put together. This makes it really easy for your front or whoever's doing the follow-ups to put in these pieces and just plug and play, but they can make them unique to the patient. So say you have a log of resources, articles, videos, things that you can send to your patients as like a, hey, I was thinking of you. I thought this might help you really understand what's going on. You can pass those along because you know what treatment that patient needs. Your automated reminders won't do that, but that personalized communication that you plug and play just to touch the patient and kind of get another outreach to them, you can personalize those communications pretty well, and it'll be a message that resonates with them. Those regular check-ins and feedback from your patients are really important too. A lot of times we wait until we've got our bad review before we've got the feedback. You always want to ask your patients, how was your appointment today? Someone will be like, fine, or no answer at all, or, it was okay. But if they really liked it, they will, gush over it. But if they say something went wrong, then it gives you a time to proactively address it instead of waiting to get a negative review, which just drives down your review rating and reduces the odds that people are going to call you because you have bad reviews. All right, so the best follow-ups are the ones that you never have to do. So you've got your checkout rescheduling. That is one of the key components that I always coach on when I'm doing hygiene coaching. When they're walking out, make sure they're scheduling their next appointment. It doesn't matter if it's just their hygiene recare, they're coming back. A lot of times they're like, oh, they finished all their treatment, they're good to go. No, they're not. They need a recall on that schedule. That way, they're coming back in, they're visiting you again in about 6 months. You can check and see if there's anything new. You guys can have a conversation about anything that was outstanding, even if they're not willing to sign up for extra treatment or restorative treatment. Be sure at least that recare is on the schedule. And then if they are scheduled for a treatment of some sort, then when they check out from that, make sure that their hygiene appointment is on the schedule. There's a lot of gaps for missing that pre-schedule opportunity, and that just helps keep your schedule full. So long as you keep doing regular appointment confirmations prior to their appointment, then they're going to come in. You're going to see more patients on your schedule overall. All right, the hard one, the one that everyone hates is those effective financial discussions. We hate doing them. I haven't met anyone who's like, I love talking money because it's so personal for everyone. So having those clear communication plans, they should always understand what they're paying for. So you need to have clearly explained to them. A lot of the breakdown in acceptance is from poor communication. So patients need to understand what they're paying for, be transparent and thorough in your discussions about how things are going to go, the expectations as well for what you expect from the patient. And that could be, appointments on time, what the insurance is going to do, what their patient obligation is. Be really clear in your expectations for all of it, including post-op. You want to train your staff to discuss finances from a point of view of compassion and empathy, and they need to be ready to address concerns openly and ease that stress. Money is stressful for a lot of people. There are not many that come in prepared to pay for dentistry. It's not something that many budget for in their plan. So your staff has to be prepared to have those hard financial discussions with people who were unprepared for their day to go the way it did. Having someone who is emotionally available, have those treatment discussions is great. You also have to have someone who's able to hold their own boundaries and space, because it's easy to get kind of sucked in as well. You have to relate to them without getting drugged down with them. You have to keep them up so that you can have a higher level conversation about how to problem solve instead of getting drugged down into it. Yes, you need to understand their emotional component. You need to address their emotional component, but you have to be the guiding force in that conversation to keep the conversation up and moving forward. With that transparent pricing, it provides a clear breakdown of treatment costs, and it fosters a trust and increased acceptance. I don't know too many practices that don't give them a cost breakdown. You want to do the best you can. Having an updated insurance estimate for percentages and all that is a good way to go. If you take insurance, if you don't, then it's clear and upfront, easy peasy. But if the worst is when they get a huge bill and it's because they didn't have insurance in the first place, it was termed, whatever. Doing the basics to make sure that you're actually able to use that insurance if you are going to accept it is one of those key pieces for building trust with patients, because it will break it really quick if they get a huge bill and you told them they had coverage. Yes, I know that plan is between the patient and the insurance company. You don't actually have any part of that. But if you are going to offer to take insurance, you need to at least do the bare minimum of confirming that they have coverage and what those percentages look like. You want to be sure you're offering payment options for your patients. It reduces the financial barriers for them. A lot of times, like I said, they're coming in and they weren't prepared for the conversation y'all are having today. They didn't know they were going to need treatment. They felt like they were healthy. So you want to have options that make it easy for them to say yes and encourage them to move forward with treatment. Create a network of trusted financial providers that you can utilize during your presentations to increase your treatment acceptance. You also want to have early financial discussions. You want to address the financial matters up front to ensure there are no surprises later. and the patients can make informed decisions. A lot of times patients come in and we're like, oh, it's just a little cavity. And we let them go. We let them go for another 6 months. And we really don't need to be doing that, because you need to be having a clear, defined conversation about the financial pieces of those restorative treatments that are needed. We put things off because they're uncomfortable and we don't like them, but you want to talk as soon as you see something that is of concern. Start having that conversation. It's going to increase your treatment rates and how much you're doing on your schedule. It's going to increase your case acceptance, because maybe they don't say yes today, but they might say yes in 6 months. They might say yes in 2 weeks when they get their paycheck. You never know, but have those conversations. Don't let them leave without having the conversation. That one happens a lot. And I know some people will be like, that never happens here. It does happen a lot. So you want to schedule to reduce your follow-up needs. You want to optimize your schedule, allocate sufficient time for consultations, a little bit of extra same-day treatment so you can take care of people same day if they need it, and time to address those questions and minimize those future follow-up needs. You want to automate your appointment reminders so that they get texts, emails to make sure they keep their appointments. You want to make sure you're future scheduling, so encouraging patients to book their next visit before leaving to maintain momentum and avoid gaps in the schedule in 6 months. And then your patient management software, automate and streamline rebooking to keep patients engaged and reduce the need for follow-ups. This can be done even in the back. You can have your hygienist assist with this so that there are appointments already created in there that you guys can grab and drop if needed, or that will show up in a easy online scheduling system. So you got your basics for financial management. You've got a budget and forecast. So regular financial reviews help you forecast revenue and manage cash flow effectively. Every aspect of life has seasons, and business is no different. There's ups and downs. You already know, if you've been doing this for any amount of time, you've got your summer breaks, you've got your winter breaks, you've got the school year, and all of those have their challenges for not just the families, but your practice. And that carries over in every aspect of business. So you've got to budget out and forecast appropriately. Keep in mind the seasons, and as your office often changes, you will be able to tell kind of what's coming for you. Can you guarantee appointments? No. Can you budget and forecast based on past history? Pretty well. You can at least identify what it might look like in 6 months because you have a history. And if you don't have a history, you can still use some forecasting. I would recommend having an accountant assist with that. A CPA can help you put together some numbers so you have an idea of where you'll be. This helps you plan for growth as well. If you are expecting a certain amount and you know at a certain point you're going to need another body to handle all of this, it helps you project that out as well. You want to have software for financial tracking. So a lot of us use QuickBooks. There's lots of different software out there for that. But it helps you track your payments, your bills, and forecast the financial health of the practice. You want to maximize your revenue by focusing on completing more treatments per visit to reduce overhead and improve efficiency. So how effective are you per appointment? This is one of the big markers. I feel like so many people get hung up on production per hour. I like to focus on how effective were you during that appointment, because when your appointment books are full and you're maximizing your appointments, money is good, like great. If your books are not so full and you're still maximizing appointments, you're okay. So maximize the revenue that you have in a single appointment is going to help tide you over when things are slow, because they will inevitably have ebb and flow. And then for cash flow, you want to maintain a healthy cash flow by managing expenses and tracking your revenue accurately. Please enlist the help of a CPA. We don't have to do it all. It's a who, not how. Be sure that you are employing people to assist in areas that it's really important that you get that extra knowledge. So the financial management tips for dental practices: create payment policies. You want to be sure that you have clear policies, including consequences for late or missed payments, appointments, etc. Anything that would impact your patient experience to avoid the financial strain on your practice. Clear policies are enforceable. You can say, I'm going to hold you responsible for this. Have the patient sign off and they're aware that they are responsible. It is an agreement for how this care relationship should move forward. You want to try and collect prepayments for services. It increases the commitment and reduces no-shows. Not only that, but some states, it is not allowed for you to withhold finishing treatment. It could be considered unprofessional conduct if you were to cease care because they ceased payment. So prepayments make sure that you get paid for the work you're doing. You have the cost covered before you ever even get started. So I highly encourage practices to collect prepayments so that they show up and so that you are covered to and clear for takeoff. So electronic payments encourage a quicker and more effective transaction. I don't know too many practices that are doing a whole lot of cash pay. You may have some, but the electronic payments, in particular, ability to text to pay, online payments for bills, make it easy for them to do business with you. And then you want to do regular contract reviews. A lot of times we get really complacent with the providers that we use for everyday services, your labs, your supplies, your accountant even. Those contracts should be reviewed pretty regularly, and you can renegotiate terms to get the best pricing. So take a look at those about once a year. Think of it like your insurance. You evaluate that every now and then. Treat every one of those contracts the same. So you've got your data that is super important for you to understand how your practice is flowing. So you've got your key metrics. You want to track patient retention, your reactivation rates. Like I was saying, you want to make sure that you're looking at how productive were you in the appointment itself, and then gauge your referral sources to see how effective your follow-up process and any of your marketing really. You want to identify improvements. So use those insights. It's great to have all of the numbers in the world, but if you don't use them to your advantage, then it's kind of a waste of everyone's time. So you want to make sure that you're using it to refine and enhance your follow-up strategies. Always teach the Dr. C method. So you're refining your strategy for the next time will help you improve the outcome every time. So you want to make informed decisions, use that information wisely. You've defined what you're looking for, you refine your next steps, and make a strategy to make conscious decisions that use the data you've already come up with to improve your outcome. Don't waste the information that's given to you. You have so much at your fingertips this day and age, and so many people are flying by the seat of your pants. You don't have to. There are numbers all over the place in your practice management, in your CRM, out on department labor websites. You have so much information available. You don't have to just fly blind. So make informed decisions with the information you do have available and at your disposal. So you want to enhance your revenue stream by offering additional services. Additional services can be like teeth whitening, orthodontic components, hygiene products to increase your revenue. Those should be unique and exclusive, like we talked about in the other. Creating that exclusivity will help drive demand. You also can look at implementing loyalty programs. Loyalty programs help bring back repeat customers. I know we all have them where we've given them our phone number or email so that we get a discount or some points. Different programs have different rewards, but this helps reward them for referrals and continued visits. And then you want to collaborate, explore partnerships with local businesses or organizations that could expand your reach. There are lots of patients out there at your neighbor business. There's patients down the road at the school. There's patients in the apartment complex down the street. Don't ignore those. Yes, we do lots of marketing. We throw out mailers and ads and different things, but talk to people one-on-one. You can go and meet with owners, apartment complex management, anybody in your area, because you are local. You can create those partnerships and help drive in patients that way. So you want to make sure you use your tools and resources. So make sure you got your scheduling and financial software in place. Tools, there's countless. I don't care what you use as long as it works for your practice. Is it efficient? Does it get the job done? And does everyone feel like they understand how it works and how to best utilize it? As long as you've got those standard operating procedures and are able to use it, great. You also want to encourage professional development for your team, ongoing training, development for your staff. Stay up to date on those best practices for care. There's always new and evolving treatments, coding, financial options. So take time to see what these are. You have options out there for increasing revenue that you probably haven't explored. So spend a little time each day looking at the new things in your field to find ways to increase your production. So consistent follow-ups lead to increased patient retention, satisfaction, financial success. Be sure to implement the outlined strategies to build a lasting patient relationship and drive that revenue for your practice. And so now it's your turn. I want you to think through, we do this every time, one missed opportunity to create a lasting impression from this past week. One that you may have missed the mark, one that you can discuss with your team on a nuanced level. What can we do differently? What can we do now? That patient's gone, but what could we do now to fix that? And I'm sure we all have something that happens every day, but use that as a growing opportunity for your practice. So if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. Happy to answer them. I want to help you in any way to build value for your practice. And I thank you very much for taking the time to come and listen. We do have a few more CompCare webinars coming out. So thank you so much for joining us. We will continue to put out this content. Let me know if you find it valuable. I appreciate your feedback. And I wanted to thank you so much for letting me share my passion with you today and pass along this information. I hope it was useful for you guys. And if you have interest in working with us, you can contact us here. We are happy to have a consult to discuss any concerns you may have about your practice or how we can help build your business. Thank you.